Hello and welcome to the next edition of the BriefingsDirect Voice of the Customer podcast series. I'm Dana Gardner, Principal Analyst at Inter Arbor Solutions, your host and moderator for this ongoing discussion on digital transformation success stories. Stay with us now to learn how agile businesses are fending off disruption in favor of innovation. Our next mission-critical systems rapid recovery case study explores how Norway's venerable meat processing business Fatland defended itself against a nasty ransomware attack. We'll now learn how a comprehensive backup and recovery capability that uses protocols that themselves can't be attacked allowed Fatland's production processing systems to be snapped back into use in only a few hours. Here to help us define what a rapid backup and recoveryware, if you will, can do to avoid downtime and data loss disasters is our panel. We're here with Terje Vester. He's the CEO at Fatland based in Norway. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much.
We're also here with Patrick Osborne. He's Senior Director of Product Management and Marketing for Storage and Big Data at Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. Welcome, Patrick.
Thanks so much for having me.
Terje, getting all of your Windows systems back up in a few hours after an aggressive ransomware attack earlier this year probably wasn't what first drove you to have a comprehensive backup and recovery capability and a data lifecycle capability. So what were the early drivers that led you to put in a more modern approach to data?
First, I must say that I'm not the very technical person here, but I can tell you this story when this happened, so you got the background. First of all, we have a HP end-to-end system at Fatland. We have 4 production sites. On one production site, we have all this server capacity. We are running a meat business, doing everything from slaughtering to processing, packing, and so we deal with the farmers, we deal with the end customers, and then it's really important to have good systems, also safe systems. So when we last invested in these HP systems, we wanted something that was in front of line, that was safe, because the uptime in the company is so important. So our IT people got the freedom to choose what they thought was the best solution for us, and HP was the answer, and we tested that really hard on this ransomware episode we had in September.
Patrick, are you finding in the marketplace that people have a different reason or primary reason for getting into a comprehensive data protection mode, if you will, or modernizing, but that it becomes a gift that keeps giving? How does that work? What are the tactical and strategic implications of a good storage implementation?
Yeah, so I think a lot of customers now are focusing certainly on the security side. It's definitely very top of mind. And for our customers, what we're trying to provide is more of an integrated approach. So it's not a secondary or an afterthought that you bolt on. That really what we're trying to design in, whether it's our server products with silicone root of trust, or our storage products with things that we've done for Fatland, what we call RMC, Recovery Manager Central, and Store Once, or when we have our integrated offerings with our hyperconverged product line. The theme that we're trying to weave through this is that data protection and availability is an endemic piece of the architecture, so you get it on day one when you move to a more of a modernized architecture, as opposed to running into a ransomware or an availability issue and then having to re-architect that after the fact. So what we're trying to do with a number of customers is just from day one, when you're looking to renew your infrastructure, that what you put on the floor at that point has all of this availability and security built in from day one. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we see that's helpful for customers these days.
Data integration is, in fact, part of the architecture. It's not a separate category or a chunk that you bolt on later.
Exactly.
Right. Okay, back to you, Terje. Tell us a little bit about this NM4 crypto virus. In the spring of 2017, a lot of people got hit by this. Some were out for days. What happened when this hit your organization?
Well, we saw these people trying to attack us started to visit our servers and get in on Thursday. They worked until Friday night and find an opening. And in the night, from Friday to Saturday, we have people watching the servers 24/7. So they saw something happened in the middle of the night, and they closed down the servers. Still, they already have put in this ransomware. So we closed down everything. We looked to that all the other sites at Fatland with all this terminal equipment also was plugged out, so we shouldn't spread it even more. On Saturday we had no production, so Saturday and Sunday for us was days to work on, and to solve the problem we contacted HP for consultants what to do, and from Oslo they came over on Sunday, and from Sunday afternoon and early Monday morning we recovered everything, and then on Monday morning we started up I think about 30 minutes after schedule, and the business was running. And that was extremely important for us. We have live animals coming in on Sunday that is going to be slaughtered on Monday. We have processing. It's Christmas around the corner here, and everything that we produce is important every day of capacity. So the quick recovery was really important for us.
And you're an older family-run organization. You date back to 1892.
That's right.
So you have a very strong brand.
Yep.
You don't want to erode that brand. People want to continue the trust they've had in you for 125 years.
They do. We have the farmers have been calling us for the slaughtering of their cattle for generations. We have the two bigger supermarket chains in Norway as our main customers. We have a big daily turnover, especially in September, October, where all the lambs are coming in, together with the beef and the pork that we do. So it is a busy period, and everybody trusts us that we should work for them every day, and that's our goal too.
So, Patrick, what was it about the HPE approach, Recovery Manager Central, Store Serve, Store Once? Why did the ransomware attack in this case not cause the downtime that we saw in other organizations?
Yeah, and I think one of the important things to focus too is that in the case of Fatland, it's not so much the money that you would have to pay for the ransomware. It's the downtime, right? That is the key. And so what we try to provide in the architecture is you can take application or data-specific point-in-time copies of the data that's critical, either mission-critical, business-critical, at a very granular level, be able to orchestrate that and then send that off to a secondary system, right? So you have an additional layer of security. And then what we actually announcing at the show here too is the ability to even go farther beyond that and send an additional copy out to the cloud. At all layers of that infrastructure, you'll be able to encrypt the data, and then be able to. We designed the system essentially around not so much backup but restore, to be able to quickly restore. So for us, the goal of the infrastructure and the solution is to provide a very aggressive recovery time objective and a very granular recovery point objective, to the point where when Terje's team recognized that they had a breach, right, you able to mitigate that, essentially staunch the issue, and then be able to rapidly recover from a well-known set of data that wasn't compromised. So for us, it's all about architecting to how fast can I recover? What's that RTO objective, and make that as quick as possible. And we see older architectures where essentially you have a primary storage solution, right, that has all your data on it, and then not a really good backup infrastructure. So what turned into 2 days of disruption for Fatland could have been more days, if not weeks, in an older infrastructure. So, I mean, for us, we're really just focused on mitigation and what we call RTO.
In the case of a crypto virus, was the data not encrypted by the virus at all, or was it encrypted but you were able to snap back the fresh pre-encrypted copies of the data faster?
Yeah, so when we do this at the storage layer, we're able to take copies of that data and then move it off to a secondary system or even a tertiary system. So you have a well-known copy of that data before it's been encrypted, right? So you're able to roll back to a point in time in your infrastructure before that data has been compromised. And then we can actually go a step further. So you have, some of the techniques are, you have encryption on your primary storage. That usually helps for, if you are changing disk drives and whatnot from a security perspective. And then we actually able to encrypt at the data level on secondary storage. So in the case of this, you have a secure piece of the infrastructure with data that's already been encrypted at a well-known point in time, and you're able to recover from that. So that really helps out a lot.
So their encryption couldn't get past your encryption. Now, the other nice thing about this rapid recovery is that it doesn't have to be a ransomware or a virus or security. It could be a natural disaster. It could be some other human error. So the whole idea of business continuity is what's important. How do you feel in terms of the confidence, now that you've been through at least the ransomware side of things, that pretty much no matter what happens, you're going to be up and running and staying in business, Terje?
Well, we have been discussing this quite a lot also before these ransomwares came. So we established better backup systems before this, but also now we are looking more into extending this even more to have another system that can run from the minute where the main servers are down, because we have robotized storage system picking out meat for the supermarket chains like 24/7, and when the main server stops, something should take over and run the business. So within a very short time, we will also have that solution in place with good help from HP.
Now, Patrick, not that long ago, the technology to do this may have been there, but the costs were prohibitive. The network and latency and performance issues were prohibitive. What's happened in the past several years that's allowed you to go to a company like Fatland and basically get them as close to 6 nines of availability across the board as you can get?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think some of the things that we've done are, in the past you've seen customers buy along, I have a preferred vendor for servers, I have a preferred vendor for networking, I have another preferred vendor for storage, and I think that azimuth is changing, right, from a vertically oriented stack. So when Terje says, I have a set of applications or business needs, this is the solution that I need, we're able to, as a portfolio company, bring together that whole stack. So I think one of the things that in the past was that the customer was the integrator, and the cost was in bringing many different disparate solutions, and they would act as the integrator, and that's probably the largest cost that we've seen, back in the day. And so from our perspective, bringing together something that's more vertically oriented, all through this, and that has security and data protection availability through the stack, is I think one way that is making this type of techniques and availability, for customers of their size, where IT is not really your core competency, right? It's a business enabler, right, at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
And then the second piece is, I think from a networking perspective, very large bandwidth, low-cost networking has definitely changed, the game in terms of being able to move data, replicate data from on-prem, even off-prem to the cloud. That's certainly been an enabler as well.
We're seeing mirroring of entire data centers in amazing amounts of time. All right. Also, given the fact that you have as you say, sort of a linear approach, integrated approach, HPE with a high focus on security is engineering across the board for this, so from the silicon up.
Yep.
And what are some of the newer technologies, and I know that Terje can't get into the technology stuff, but you can, that we can see a further increase in how this is going to continue to be higher availability, lower risk, and lower cost?
Yeah, so for us, I think and then what we're actually implementing today is to mitigate against this. As an example, Terje's team saw that they had a breach from a number of different signatures, right? That they essentially had a crypto virus, and that they had a problem on premises. So I think what we're focusing on, and we're making some announcements this week at Discover, is around AI for the data center, so that taking the human factor out of it helps you recognize the problem faster. Number one. Number two is that the experience that Fatland had, other customers can benefit from that, right? So if they have a breach and that has certain signatures in the infrastructure, we're able to take that and apply that to other customers, and likewise, they may have some things that happen to them that can benefit Fatland as well, right, as a customer. So being able to use machine learning techniques, and we have a number of things that we've brought to the table for what we call predictive analytics in the data center. So Aruba on the networking side has a number of capabilities. We're bringing on the storage side what we call InfoSight, which is our predictive analytics for storage, and extending them to other parts of the infrastructure, so servers, networking, storage, so you can start to see signatures, right? That if you see this on your storage device, this specific signature, that this could be a breach, this could be a malware, incident, and then you can immediately take actions, because GDPR is going to be implemented in May of 2018. And
it's the European privacy regulation.
And there's some there's some high fines, right? You have to report within 72 hours. So anything you can do to take the human factor out of this from a technology perspective is a win for everyone. And that we have a big investment in that.
And that sort of gets back to that idea of it's the gift that keeps giving. As the more systems are integrated in place, the more data analysis can be drawn, shared with other organizations, pooled and anonymized, and then you find those patterns and can ultimately become predictive rather than reactive. Terje, the level of confidence that you have seems to be high. It's perhaps going to get higher. What other recommendations might you have for other organizations that are thinking about this? Did it turn out to be a good investment, and what sort of precautions might you have for others if they haven't done this already?
First, I would say that data itself is not part of our core business, but communication is. And of course, this is extremely important for us to communicate both internal and external all the time. I think that in every organization, it's needed that the IT people also talk to the management and the board about the safety issues. I think that this should be brought to the table before these problems comes up. We had good systems. We had HP end-to-end, and of course that is one thing that is important. We had the modern technology in place, so we could have a quick recovery. That was a good thing, and I think most important for us was that the IT management with us had the trust from us in the management and the board to invest in what they thought was the best solution. We still saw some operational breaches that we need to do better. And now, of course, this have a big focus with us. And I think for every organization to invest some time in looking into the infrastructure to see what to do to make it safer for quick recovery, which is important for any company. So bring it onto the table for the board, for the management, for a really good discussion. It's worth that.
Well, very good. I'm afraid we'll have to leave it there. We've been exploring how Norway's Fatland successfully defended itself against a nasty ransomware attack. And we've learned how the many benefits of having a comprehensive snapshot recovery capability can really benefit your mission-critical systems, and now at lower cost and better performance than ever. So please join me in thanking our guests. We've been here with Terje Vester, CEO at Fatland in Norway. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And we've also been here with Patrick Osborne, Senior Director of Product Management and Marketing for Storage and Big Data at Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. Thank you, Patrick.
Thanks, Ian. Thanks for having us.
And a big thank you to our audience as well for joining us for this BriefingsDirect Voice of the Customer Digital Transformation Success Story Discussion. I'm Dana Gardner, Principal Analyst at Inter Arbor Solutions, your host for this ongoing series of Hewlett-Packard Enterprise sponsored interviews. Thanks again for listening. Please pass this content along to your IT community and do come back next time.